Bet anywhere with TVG.
American Pharoah, breathtaking in a mesmerizing performance.
Beholder, almost impossible to believe. She's turned this into an exercise gallop.
On the top, American Pharoah. On the bottom, Beholder. The Derby, TVG Pacific Classic, both races at 1.25 miles. And Beholder just about to make a move that I think a lot of us thought was premature from Gary Stevens, but she's doing it all on her own, while American Pharoah is battling on the top in this 1.25 mile journey beneath the Twin Spires.
Yeah, I watched this morning, Scott, and I think actually the takeaway from it is that both of them do put their competition away at exactly the same point in a race. Now, whether that is on top, American Pharoah with Victor Espinoza having to ask him, or Beholder kind of taking control herself and doing it, this is going to be the tactical moment in this race that Gary Stevens and Victor Espinoza really separate themselves. Do they make that move at the exact same time, and can they sustain a 1/4 mile run all the way down the lane if they do move at the same time?
You can see the final time, no competition, but we're talking 2 different racetracks. A race which has a field of 19 plus beneath the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs versus the field that Beholder took on, which I think all of us will say consensus-wise was not the strongest group of handicap horses that we have in North America. No honor code, no tonalist. And here are the fractions. Beholder went quicker every step of the way as far as this race is concerned. Now, she wasn't setting a majority of these fractions. She earned a 114 buyer, Pharoah 105 buyer. At the Thorograph, -3 1/4, -3 for American Pharoah.
I think also, you know, especially with those Thorograph numbers, I mean, that 1/4 point, that's very close between the two. And we're dealing with 2 races at 1.25 miles, and it just goes to show you that they are on par with each other. They are very evenly matched, and it really is going to be a race for the ages to see. And then you factor in honor code, tonalist, and the rest of the group. It's going to be a sensational Breeders' Cup Classic in a few weeks' time.
Expect to see Liam's Map in the dirt mile, but he's still on the probables list. They could change their mind. Say something happens between now and the end of the month with some of the speed in this race. But, you know, however way you want to dissect this field, or Beholder versus American Pharoah, the eyes will be on them. They are going to likely hook up fairly early on. I mean, they've got the same sort of running style. They're horses that have good tactical speed, and they are explosive late. And then you've got these class horses behind them in tonalist and honor code that are going to be coming and hoping for them to hook up. So this really is a classic of classics when it comes down to the Breeders' Cup.
And I think, as you mentioned, you know, Liam's Map most likely going to the dirt mile. And in terms of the pace situation, how many times have we seen Gary Stevens ride much more aggressively in races like this, put himself in a tactical position, take the lead if it's there for the taking, make that first move, press somebody else? I mean, it's going to be very much a game of cat and mouse between Victor and Gary, both excellent tactical riders, and it may come down to something that they do more so than the ability of these horses.
Let's just hope, Mike Joyce, that it doesn't come down to the start of the race and there's no conversation like we had a year ago here at Santa Anita Park.
Yeah, keep the stewards out of it. Keep it clean. Keep it clean. I'll tell you what, though, you look at that list, it gets real interesting outside of those two. You mentioned honor code, tonalist. Frosted's on that list of probables. Liam's Map, like you pointed out correctly, going to go in the dirt mile. He can't get that 10th furlong. And then Smooth Roller, the Victor Garcia runner that won the Awesome Again, he's a little bit of a wild card. I really didn't believe in him even after that race, because I thought that Awesome Again came up as weak of a grade 1 as we've seen all year in the handicap division. But I went back and watched it. You look at the figures he earned. He actually ran a pretty nice race. And we don't know how good he is. We literally don't have any idea how good he is. Now, I'm not saying he's in the same breath as an American Pharoah or a Beholder, but let's say they do go at it, and let's say they do fall apart late. He's as likely as anyone to start running.
No question about it. I mean, this is a race that has so much top-class form as well as so much intrigue to it and big prices. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, what's the favorite going to be? 5-2, 2-1? I mean, 2-1 might be a little short, whether it be between Beholder and American Pharoah. It's a fantastic wagering opportunity. And, I mean, a horse like Tonalist, he could easily be 10-1 at post time.
Yeah, he could, and he was a pretty big price last year out here in Southern California, and I think because he's done most of his best running in New York, he ends up being dismissed elsewhere. And that's one point with regard to smooth roller. We do have to see what he does when he ships, and will he bounce off of that big race in the Awesome again? That's going to be my concern with him going into the Classic.
Normally it's East versus West, but in this occasion it's West versus West, but female versus male, Triple Crown champion versus one of maybe the all-time great females that we've ever seen in this sport.
And I'm betting Honor Code.